and I'm continuing the dialogue of the Christian journey. And you may be wondering, why do you have ancient aliens? That's important to this dialogue. Very important. I want to talk about it. So give me a minute here. I meant to check my Bible here. So give me a second. All right. All right. Get in it today. My shirt, check it out. Look, comes down to that. I'm wearing my shirt again, right? See that? Look, there's 3 stories. Do we need to stop down and recognize which story do we really, and when I say story, one of these is truthful. This is the dialogue that we've got going on. Where is our past full of? Let's talk about this. UFOs. That's been a topic lately. It's deceptive. I want to talk about that. The UFOs is deceptive. We don't have the idea of creatures that have evolved in other planets, flying in technology that we don't have, futuristic, come to the planet. That's a fabrication, a deceit that comes from Satan. Don't get wrapped up in the hype. 2 Corinthians 4:4 tells us that the God of this world, which is who? Satan, little g, is blinding the minds of the unbelieving, keeping them in confusion and deceit. But you are a believer and your heart is opened. But Satan has been spending a few thousand years trying to create a past. He's trying to write an alternative history book. And it's in the school system. It's in everywhere. But a different past. Because he's trying to erase God. We got to talk about it. There is no aliens. There's no green-blooded creatures with laser guns. There's no spaceships. Let me talk about that. Look. Truth is the journey of a Christian. Okay? Truth is the journey of a Christian. So I want to read to you Ephesians. There you go. That's what I meant to put up. About the spiritual warfare that's going on. Let me read it to you. Ephesians 6:10. Be strong in the Lord. Listen to what it says. You got to put on the full armor of God so that you'll be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. The Bible's telling you the devil has schemes. This is Ephesians chapter 6. You got to beware of the schemes of the devil. Our struggle is not against earthly things. Our struggle is not against God's creation. It's not against flesh and blood. Okay? It's against the devil's schemes. Got to be aware of that. What are these? Our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but it's against rulers, against powers, against the world forces of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in heavenly places. Therefore, you must take up the full armor of God so that you can resist on the evil days. Okay, so I went and did a little research because that's kind of like, what does all that mean? So I'm not a scholar, but let me tell you what. Let me read that in the Greek. Like if I was to translate word for word the Greek to English, this is how it would read. You have the magistrates. Then you have authorities, cosmic powers of darkness, and the spiritual relating to the realm of evil, and then of the heavenly, of the highest rank. So let me break each one down. So when it goes down, First, our war is against the magistrates, the kings. What's interesting is that same word for magistrates is also used as beginning in other places in Scripture, the same Greek word, beginning. So the origins are of this authority that comes from this dark realm. Then the second one is authority. From the second, our battles against the spiritual powers of a realm where they're transferring their dark powers to human minds. Okay? A spiritual influence to confer power. So they are conferring powers to whoever wants to hear it. These demonic entities. We're going to talk about this. And so it's not the flesh and blood, a world elites. We already know, if you're in the know, you know what's going on with the crazy satanic stuff. A lot of these people are. Obviously, if Satan is still God of this world, 2 Corinthians 4:4, and then he wants those who will side with him to have influence, therefore, the rulers of this world. Think about it. It's all fitting into the dialogue we're learning. Then our battles against the cosmic powers of darkness. So there is a dark force in existence. This is truth. These are from the cosmic powers of darkness is from an angelic or demonic controlling realm, not of the terrestrial world. Not of the terrestrial world. It's not of earth, not against flesh and blood. It's coming from an invisible realm. And the spiritual is relating to the realm of evil, the invisible sphere of evil. And then the last one is a realm of the heavenly sphere, the highest ranking. So that's what we're dealing with. Magistrates from an invisible realm, that is the origins, it's evil, and they are of authority, conferring their power to whoever wants it on this earth. Then you have cosmic powers of the controlling realm, and then of the heavenly realm, and it's all from a group that's called this darkness. That's truth. Now, what are they going to do? Are they going to tell you truth? Right? That's why it says in the beginning of that verse that we must put on the full armor of God so we can stand against the schemes of the devil. What is the schemes of the devil? To feed you non-truth. Right. So what is the truth? Again, to go back, boom. Do you believe our origins is one of these three things? What is another option that they've given us? They said that we came, there's no God involved, right? That's what the devil's trying to get. There's no God involved. We've just kind of exploded from nothing. Nothing created nothing. Or there's mysterious green men from other planets with great technology that came in our past. This, they're taking actual truth and twisting it. Or is it Adam? I mean, we have to deal with that truth. We have to deal with that truth. So as we're scouring the internet and hearing things and stuff we've been taught in school. So listen, the truth is, when it comes to the aliens, that in our past, God created, you can take the genealogy, it's in the four gospels. You can take the genealogy all the way back to Adam, from Jesus to Adam. We know, according to the genealogy, it all began 4004 BC, 4004 BC. And we also know that actual evidence, if we go to the original writings of mankind, 3500, there is no older writings. Now, they're going to try to lie to you, but it has been a common consensus that the signs of man, the scientific evidence, the archaeological evidence, is that mankind began civilizations and societies and ideas and writing in about 3500 AD. Okay, so what did they write about? All the same thing. The worldwide flood. It's in the Bible. They write about what they call Anunnaki. It's Babylonian. These beings that came down from the heavenly realm and enslaved the human race. But see, that is not the godly version, but they're writing down things that had happened. But the truth is, the Bible does talk about that. And understanding that, we understand, by knowing this, you understand Ephesians when it talks about you're dealing with some kind of spiritual darkness, and you must have the armor of God, helmet of truth, all of this now, or salvation. You got to have truth. So what did happen in our past? Let me read it to you. Let me read Genesis. There were giants in our past. Now, because the devil has blinded us, has taught something contrary, has taught demonic doctrine in schools, saying that we've been evolved, and that all of the things that the people who wrote 3,500 years ago, that was all fiction. They want us to believe that when they wrote all this down, they're writing fiction, and that we didn't start getting truth until about the 1800s. Yeah, in the 1800s, mankind got smart. That's when we started lying to us. And you understand? So then they say, well, that's all mythology. The Bible's not true. And so they have us try to believe a lie. And the Bible warns us that there are demonic doctrines. So let me give you a little bit of this. So we go back to Genesis. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this. What does it say in Genesis 6? This is before the flood, okay? The Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterward. When the sons of God came to the daughters of mankind, and they bore them children. These were the mighty men of old, men of renown. And then the Lord saw the wickedness of man was great on the earth, and every intent of their hearts was nothing but constant evil. And the Lord was sorry that he had made mankind on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. Then the Lord said, I will just wipe out mankind that I've created for the face of the land, everything, including the animals. Now the earth was corrupt in the sight of the Lord of God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for humanity had corrupted its ways on the earth. Now, sin was involved, but where did sin come from? It came from the devil. The dragon, the great serpent, who came in the garden, who was part of this darkness, the powers and authorities that I read in Ephesians. He was the first to make that move against God. And he came to corrupt God's creation. And he took, how did he begin? He takes the word of God and he introduces a lie, a deceit. He deceived Eve. That is what they do. That's why you got to gird yourself with truth and righteousness in God's ways against his schemes. So the devil schemed, being of the darkness, the cosmic powers of darkness, made the first move and introduced sin, deceiving them to believe a lie contrary to God's word, because God gave his word to Adam and Eve. That's the origins. That's how it began. Now follow me. What followed is truth. That we had giants living in our past just a few thousand years ago. So that Nephilim, if you look that word down, this is very highly debated. But I went into the Hebrew and I wrote down word for word. This is what I meant to say, not the other verse. This is the one I wrote word for word. This is Nephilim were on the earth in days those, and also after that. What does that mean? The Nephilim were in those days before the flood, and they were also after the flood. That's what he's saying. Nephilim were on the earth in days those and after those days, which is post-flood. Because when came in the sons of God, Bene Elohim, which is the angels, the daughters of men, they bore children to them who were known as the mighty men who were of the old days of fame. The Nephilim were in the earth in those days, Moses wrote. And also after that, the Nephilim, the word Hebrew word means giants. You go to the oldest, outside of the Bible, in Babylonian writing, they talked about giants, right? The Anunnaki, they say these aliens come down. You watch these TV shows, Ancient Aliens. It's talking about the same thing, but the Nephilim was the byproduct of the fallen angels who had abused mankind, the women, to create their own human race, which were giants. They were angry and violent. The origins of the word Nephilim is Nephal, which means the fallen or the liars. Fallen, to fall or lie. They were the ones who were fallen. So Nephilim is the byproducts of the fall and the lie. That means the rebellious angels that fell. The Nephilim were the byproducts of that, because the word Nephilim, the root word is Nephal, which means to lie. So the truth is, what happened is we had, and I read the rest of it where it says that it was so corrupt, that God, it was so bad, God had to destroy it all. And then after, how did we get the Nephilim? It says right there, the fallen angels worked with the women. And you go, and there were Nephilim post-flood because the rebellion continued. This is a spiritual war, which is what Ephesians talked about, this spiritual war. Not of flesh and blood, but originating from heavenly and spiritual places. And so that had this same thing, angels which came before the flood made giants through women. That occurred a second time after the flood because Genesis tells us that. And we could speculate, the more than likely, according to the Bible, if we keep it there, that is in Sodom and Gomorrah, because the angels walked in. They report to us that they wanted to have relations, PG version, with angels. So they recognized what they were and they wanted it. God demolished that place. Why? Because that was probably the origins of the second round of the Bene Elohim creating their own offspring post-flood. Because if we read further, we find out that in the same area, Sodom and Gomorrah, that's where all of the giants in Genesis are living. When Abraham goes in there, there's a big war. Melchizedek's in there. And there's a war, and he names off the giants, the Raphaim, who was of the Nephilim, King Og, all of these, they're all in there. The Emim, the Zemim. So all those giants were in Canaan because that was where they originated again, more than likely Sodom and Gomorrah. There was some stuff going on there and God blew it up. So that sounds crazy for me to talk about it. It's in the Bible because the devil is blinding the mind. So what does he introduce? Lies. He wants you to believe that this is your past. Well, there's no God. He wants you to believe no God. Teach that in schools. Whatever it is, don't talk about God. Or we'll talk about us. Satan's going to say, talk about us. But deceive them. Don't even tell them the truth. Tell them we're little green aliens. That's what's going on. So when you hear this about ancient aliens, now what are they going to do? They are still lying. Jesus said in Mark, at the end of Mark, he said, my believers have authority over demons. Jesus recognized there are demons. He recognized that there's living entities in this dark realm of the heavenlies. But he says, in my name, if you're believers, you have authority over it. And you could see that case in Acts where they were casting out, Jesus cast out demons. So you see that that is a reality, but the world wants to give you a different picture. So the journey of a Christian is to be aware of truth. And me talking about this may seem so crazy because the world system, the God of this world, 2 Corinthians 4:4, blinding the minds of unbelievers, he is introducing such deceit taught in textbooks, talked about and generation after generation, that anybody that would read from the Bible and tell you this is what our past is, that's what they've been deceived. You've been brainwashed. Whole societies have been brainwashed. So they want to keep things mysterious. That's what the devil wants because, well, God's not there. He wants you to be intrigued with the false version of, but I believe there is something else, because God has put in us that the knowledge that he exists. And so they feel like, oh, there's something else. There's something else. There's something about this Anunnaki, these ancient aliens. Maybe they created humanity. No, they're the fallen ones. Yeah, there was something there. It's in the ancient writings. It's in the Bible. But the ancient writings outside of the Bible is doing the perverted version of the truth. The Bible's telling you the truth. But then they get brought down. Satan knows how the mind works. He wants you to go down them rabbit holes and the government's hiding all this stuff. No, that is none of that. Deceit. The devil schemes is deceit. That's what it says. So I want to close again with Ephesians. I was going to go to. I'm talking about the journey of a Christian, but I feel like I need the Christian's walk. I am going to do that. So I'm going to read this real quick, the armor of God, and it says you must be strong. Why do you need to be strong? You put on the armor of God so that you can withstand the schemes of the devil. Be aware of the schemes. Arm yourself with truth. I just read Genesis. If that seems foreign to you, don't let the schemes of the devil deceive you. We do not struggle against flesh and blood, terrestrial things, but against non-terrestrial, spiritual things. And I read this earlier, against the rulers of the spiritual realm, against the powers against the world forces of darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places. And I broke that down to magistrates of darkness, the spiritual powers trying to transfer their dark forces to you, the cosmic powers of darkness, that's the angelic demonic realm, and the spiritual realm of evil, and even evil in the one of the heavenly places. They work out of the heavenly, not the third heaven. There's three heavens. We'll talk about some other day, but they're working out of probably the first or second heavenly realm, where currently still has some kind of domain there, but that will come to an end when Jesus returns and sets up some millennial reign. But that's another conversation. That's what's going on, and they're influencing the elites. They'll raise people who will worship them. They give them money and power and influence around the world. They give them rulers in high places. The elites, I can't say every elite, but I'm saying we are seeing that. Biblically, it's telling us that. So arm yourself with the truth. And the ticker down there that's going, if you could see it, is from Corinthians. This is the journey of the Christian. Arm yourself with truth against the schemes of the devil. Don't get drawn into the stuff about aliens and UFOs. Know that those are demonics. They're playing games, and they're working through the elite powers. They're giving them lies to propagate from their thrones on earth to people, blinding the minds so they believe that stuff. But here is what you are, child of God. The ticker down there. We have renounced the things of mine in the right place. Oh, where was I going to go? I think this is it. Oh my goodness. I may not do that today. I got so radical in my other conversation. Oh, no. I got it. Did y'all see my shirt? If y'all review the shirt, I'm wearing my famous What's the Truth shirt. There's only three origins: no God, apes, or demons that came down. They want us to believe that they are the aliens, or did God create Adam? There's no other dialogue of our origins. We'll just get it cut down to those three. So here's what I was going to say. This is you, oh God, the Christian walk. It says right here, you no longer stop walking as Gentiles from a Jewish perspective. Gentiles meaning they didn't believe in the covenant of God. Who walk in the futility of their minds. They're darkened in their understanding. They are excluded from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them, because of their hard heart. And they have become so callous, having given themselves up to indecent behavior, for every practice of impurity and greed. And that goes right to the elites, trying to own the world, selling their soul for money, power, fame, and the devil's right there to give it to them. But you did not learn Christ this way. Christ is not about greed, money, and living indecently. If indeed you've heard of Christ and have been taught of him, truth is in Jesus. In reference to your former way of life, you are to get rid of yourselves of the old self. Does anybody preach that anymore? which is being corrupted in accordance with the lusts and deceits, and that you are to be renewed in the spirit of your mind, how you think. See what I talked about today? And you should put on the new self in your mind. So in your mind, you're already born again. You have a brand new spirit, 100% perfect and righteous in God. That is absolute. God sees you as forgiven and righteous, but your mind still needs work. You are to take and say, I am a child of God. I am not going to think like the world ways, the old ways. That's what he's saying. Put on the new self, which is in the likeness of God, has been created in righteousness and holiness and truth. Rid yourselves of falsehood and begin to speak truth to your neighbors. And that's what I'm doing, speaking truth. That's what this dialogue was about. What is our past? Again, is our past no God, happen chance, monkeys to people? Or is our past the angels that fell who are trying to lie to you and tell you they were actually aliens from aliens from another planet? Come on, man. Why are we falling for that stuff? Golly. Anyway, and they want us to believe that rebrand the story of the Nephilim, right? Right, because all the ancient writings of humanity talk about the Anunnaki, or the Bible talks about the fallen angels and the Nephilim, but they want to rebrand it and say there's more mystery. Or is the truth that God created man in his image? There is no other dialogue of where we come from. Let's just break it down to that. What's the truth? Really? Which one? Aliens. Come on. And people are buying that. So anyway, God bless you guys. I know that's kind of a long dialogue. Hopefully, though, we've got to just confront it. We can't just ignore it. Sometimes we've got to get deep in the weeds and say, stop, stop, stop. We exist. Look, I'm a person. I'm here in front of you talking to you. Where did I come from? Monkeys of no God monkey. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. We've got to engage in this conversation. Preach the gospel. God bless you guys. I appreciate your patience. And I'm going to end this stream today. Have a beautiful day.